I see more young kids who are joining BlackRock. They believe in themselves. They believe they have a future. You intersect AI and the power of information and data.
AI was supposed to be a software revolution, but behind the code, something louder is rising. Substations, turbines, and trillion-dollar infrastructure dreams. And now, BlackRock is moving into the one thing AI can't live without: power. The moment the AI boom hit, the power grid. AI was supposed to feel weightless, just code, models, and answers appearing in seconds. But behind that clean digital surface, something much heavier was starting to move. The more powerful AI became, the more it depended on a physical world of substations, transformers, cooling systems, and power lines. This was no longer just a software story. That shift became impossible to ignore on September 17, 2024, when BlackRock Global Infrastructure Partners, Microsoft, and MGX launched a new AI infrastructure partnership focused on data centers and the power systems needed to support them. That announcement sent a clear message. The next phase of AI would not be built by algorithms alone. It would be built by the hard industrial backbone that keeps those algorithms alive. And that changes the mood of the entire story. Because once AI starts depending on physical infrastructure at this scale, the race is no longer just about who builds the smartest model. It becomes about who can secure enough electricity to run the future. What BlackRock actually built, and why the wording matters. This is where the story gets more precise. The title sounds enormous, but the exact wording matters. BlackRock did not officially announce that it was personally spending trillions on a global AI power grid. What it did build was a platform designed to finance the infrastructure AI now depends on. And that difference is important. The partnership's initial target was to unlock $30 billion in private equity capital, with the potential to mobilize up to $100 billion, including debt financing. That is already massive. But Larry Fink's broader point went further. Building AI infrastructure could open up a multi-trillion-dollar long-term investment opportunity. In other words, the trillions are not the official spend. They are the scale of the opportunity that may emerge if AI keeps forcing the world to rebuild its physical systems. So the real headline is not just about one giant fund. It is about the beginning of a much larger capital cycle, where compute, electricity, and infrastructure start merging into one of the biggest investment themes of the era. Why AI is turning electricity into the new gold. Every AI system looks magical from the outside. A question goes in, an answer comes back, and it all seems effortless. But that illusion disappears the moment you look behind the screen. Every prompt, every image generation, every model training run pulls from a chain of real-world assets: power, land, cooling, transmission, and hardware operating without interruption. That is why investor attention has started shifting. By early 2026, BlackRock's own client survey showed that many investors were no longer treating big tech as the deepest AI opportunity. Instead, they were looking at power providers and infrastructure as the more compelling bet. That tells you something critical. The market is starting to believe that the real bottleneck in AI may not be intelligence itself. It may be energy. And once electricity becomes the scarce resource, the whole AI race changes. The winners may not simply be the companies with the best models. They may be the ones that can lock in reliable power before everyone else arrives chasing the same grid. From data centers to power plants, the real shape of the bet. Data centers are the visible symbol of the AI boom, but they are not the whole story. They are only the front end. Behind them sits a much larger system: substations, transmission links, generation capacity, backup systems, land access, and the industrial equipment needed to keep massive computing clusters running day and night. That is why the partnership expanded in March 2025 and was renamed the AI Infrastructure Partnership. NVIDIA and xAI joined, while GE Vernova and NextEra Energy came in to help accelerate energy solutions for AI data centers. That expansion revealed the true shape of the bet. This was never just about finding more room for servers. It was about assembling the industrial ecosystem required to power them at scale. And that is the moment this stops feeling like a normal tech investment story. Once energy companies, infrastructure managers, and compute leaders start moving together, you are no longer watching a software boom. You are watching the construction phase of a new industrial system. The partnership starts going global. Big infrastructure stories do not stay local for long. Once enough capital and strategic urgency gather around them, they begin to pull in bigger players from across borders. That is exactly what happened here. On June 3rd, 2025, the Kuwait Investment Authority joined the AI Infrastructure Partnership as its first non-founder financial anchor investor. That move mattered for more than financial reasons. Sovereign wealth usually enters a space like this when it sees something durable, strategic, and globally important. It was a sign that this platform was no longer just a private sector deal. It was beginning to look like part of a wider international alignment around the future of AI infrastructure. By that point, the platform had become much broader than a funding vehicle. It was turning into a global ecosystem where infrastructure capital, sovereign money, energy systems, and AI demand were all being pulled into the same orbit. And once that happens, the competition is no longer only about innovation. It becomes a competition over where the future gets physically built. What this means for ordinary people. It is easy to hear a story like this and assume it belongs only to billion-dollar funds, cloud giants, and boardrooms. But infrastructure does not stay locked inside financial headlines. It spills outward. When AI starts demanding more electricity, the pressure reaches utilities, industrial land, transmission planning, construction, and local communities. For ordinary people, that could mean new data center campuses, new substations, more construction activity, and fresh debates over energy use, water, and land priorities. For utilities, it means making harder decisions about where capacity goes first. For engineers, it means redesigning systems for heavier and less predictable demand. And for governments, it means AI policy quietly turns into infrastructure policy. That is what makes this story feel different from a typical tech boom. AI may seem instant and invisible when people use it, but the systems behind it are heavy, expensive, and rooted in real places. Someone has to finance them, someone has to build them, and someone has to live next to them. The final twist. This was never just about AI. By the end of this story, the biggest twist is not that BlackRock moved into AI infrastructure. It is that the deeper logic of the move was never really about AI alone. It was about rebuilding the physical foundation beneath the digital economy. The scale of that wider build-out is what makes this story so striking. Reuters Breakingviews reported in April 2026 that announced AI infrastructure ambitions across the broader industry could imply a capital bill of up to $6.6 trillion, even before counting additional utility upgrades and inflation. That is not BlackRock's official commitment, but it shows the size of the world this partnership is helping prepare for. One where AI growth collides with the hard limits of money, land, copper, electricity, and time. So this was never just a bet on smarter machines. It was a bet on the wires, substations, cooling systems, and power-heavy industrial base that those machines will depend on. If intelligence becomes the defining resource of this century, then electricity may become its lifeblood, and BlackRock is positioning itself close to the source. BlackRock's move shows that the future of AI may be decided far away from the screen, in power plants, substations, and the giant systems quietly being built around us. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more documentaries on the hidden forces reshaping our world.